Drinking water pollution in the Schuylkill River. Background information. Schuylkill is pronounced Schuylkill and got its name, which means hidden river, from Dutch settlers. The Schuylkill River starts in the mountains near the town of Tuscarora, Pennsylvania, and flows southeasterly for 137 miles on its way to its confluence with the Delaware River. What is the problem? The problem is, in Pennsylvania, the Schuylkill ranked as the third most polluted waterway in the state for cumulative toxic discharges and slipped under the wire into the 50 most polluted waterways in the nation, coming in at 49, according to the report releases by the environmental advocacy group Penn Environment. The Schuylkill River, with headwaters here in Schuylkill County, was the first river in the nation to receive attention and cleanups initiated. The river is known to have been on fire more than once throughout history. For example, in November 1892, when the surface film of oil that had leaked from nearby oil works at Point Breeze, Philadelphia, was ignited by a match tossed carelessly from a boat with fatal results. The quality of the river has improved much over the past decades. A fish ladder to support shad migration has been constructed at the Manayunk Dam. Mayfly hatches, signifying good water quality, now occur yearly among the Montgomery County sections of the river. Schuylkill Headwaters Association, SHA, led efforts to develop a massive acid mine drainage treatment site at the Silver Creek Mine near New Philadelphia. For several decades, the highly acidic waters draining naturally out of the abandoned coal mine flowed into the Schuylkill River, coloring it bright orange and bringing iron deposits, heavy metals, and other solids, which pollute the river and interfere with public uses. Source water issues. Climate change. Climate change is change in the statistical distribution of weather over periods of time, ranging from decades to millions of years. In the northeastern United States, climate change has the potential to impact the region's water supplies in multiple ways. Increased overall precipitation and changes in vegetation could exacerbate stream bank scoring and lead to increased levels of pollutants washing in our waterways. Severe weather could compromise water and wastewater facilities and infrastructure and lead to more frequent spills and accidents. Increased temperatures could foster bacterial growth and substantially decrease the oxygen supply available for aquatic life. Water availability may also become a bigger concern, with the potential for climate change to produce more frequent short-term droughts in our area. Forest clearing and development. Forest clearing miles from Philadelphia to accommodate land development economic initiatives such as natural gas drilling and increasing populations can significantly decrease the quality of our water supply. As an example, if all the forests in the Schuylkill watershed were cleared for development, fecal coliform levels would increase by over 250%. Consequently, land preservation is an extremely important component of source water protection. Stormwater runoff. You may notice that rivers turn brown after heavy rains. That's because rain runoff scours dirt and sediment from riverbanks and washes pollutants from the land into the water. Bacteria levels are highest in Philadelphia's rivers after rain events. According to rivercast, conditions on the Schuylkill River are unsuitable for certain types of recreation over 30% of the time due to high bacteria levels. Agricultural runoff. According to a federal report, runoff from agriculture land is now considered the primary source of pollutants in streams and rivers in the United States. Over 25% of the land influences the Schuylkill and Delaware rivers is used for farming. The runoff from land associated with agricultural activities contains bacteria, pathogens, sediment, fertilizers, all of which enter our waterways as runoff during storm events. Spills and accidents. Rivers, which serve as drinking water sources not just in Philadelphia but across the nation, are vulnerable to accidental, natural, and deliberate contamination events. Since May 2008, over 50 events, including sewage leaks, oil spills, fish die-offs, have been reported in waterways near Philadelphia. These contamination threats create the need for comprehensive early warning systems for many organizations and industries that rely on high water quality water resources from the Delaware and Schuylkill rivers. Treated wastewater effluent. Hundreds of wastewater treatment plants discharge into the Schuylkill and Delaware rivers above Philadelphia. The Schuylkill River is sometimes as much as 60% treated wastewater discharge during prolonged periods without rain. The Water Department is closely studying impacts of such high percentages of effluent over water quality. Improper disposal of trash and waste. Many of Philadelphia's storm drains lead directly to our rivers. Throwing pet waste, leftover paint, toxins, or trash down storm drains pollutes our drinking water sources. Through an increased awareness of the connection between street to stream, this source of pollution has the potential to be significantly reduced. Pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals get into drinking water because now people take more medications than ever, both prescription and over-the-counter, and only a small portion of these substances are absorbed in the body. The rest passes through the body, eventually making its way into rivers and streams that serve as our nation's drinking water sources. These compounds are at such low concentrations that they cannot be detected unless the most advanced methods are used, and there's currently no indication that such small concentrations pose any public health risk. Studies do show, though, that impacts to fish, however, have constant exposure to these substances. Pollution from geese and wildlife. Geese and other wildlife are sources of contamination in our waterways. A single goose can produce up to 3 pounds of manure every day and 1,095 pounds of fecal material every year. Just 2 geese can produce over 1 ton of fecal material. This waste, which contains bacteria and other harmful pathogens, comes into contact with or is washed into our waterways, presenting public health and drinking water treatment concerns. Drinking water quality and treatment in Philadelphia. Drinking water quality. The Philadelphia Water Department uses proven treatment practices and participates in groundbreaking research to provide drinking water that consistently exceeds EPA standards. Philadelphia's drinking water sources are the Delaware and Schuylkill rivers, and our pledge to our customers extends to the stewardship of our water's resources. The Pennsylvania Water Department has embraced a watershed protection and approach that tracks and evaluates events and practices that may impact water quality. Watershed businesses and residents also play a role in the health of our waterways. Proper disposal of hazardous wastes, household chemicals, and unused prescriptions are essential to protecting our drinking water. Drinking water treatment. The source water comes from the Schuylkill River. After it has been pumped from the river, water is stored in reservoirs or basins to allow sediments to settle. Chlorine is added to kill disease-causing pathogens. Chemicals are added to the water to cause smaller particles in water to join together. This makes them heavier so that they will settle to the bottom of the basin. The water is mixed to make sure the added chemicals are well blended and react with all the smaller particles. The particles combine to form flock, which settle to the bottom of the basin. The newly joined particles, or flock, settle by gravity and are removed from the bottom of the mixing tanks. The water is drawn through filters, which remove finer particles still in the water for additional purification. Fluoride is added to help prevent tooth decay, and zinc orthophosphate is added to minimize corrosion activity between water and piping materials. Ammonia is added to reduce chlorine-like tastes and to maintain the chlorine in the water. Sources.